seeing how far they had to go out of the way to get it in the first race.
We are off. Get to the castle.
And first chest, we have 20 rupees.
That's not what you want to see in standard mode.
Yeah, at least it means they're not gonna have to do an extra menu after they get a weapon.
True. Worth noting as well that the swords turn into green rupees that have the number 20 written on them, so you can pretty much easily recognize when you get a sword versus just a regular big 20.
Ooh, Fire Rod is our first weapon here in Escape. It's a pretty good weapon to have in Escape, I'd say. One-shots everything, and you have plenty of magic to get through.
Yeah, the only downside to it is you don't have a whole lot of spare to farm for bombs, but if you use it well, you get a few shots worth to farm with.
Oh yeah, back to that again. That's gonna trigger some PTSD from the last tournament for sure. Do we get any balls before back escape or not?
The number of times I saw people get hurt by not getting all the bombs was way too high in the spring tournament.
Ooh, and speaking of bombs, there's an 8-drop for BigDunka. That's brilliant. Not only back of escape, but have all the bombs you could possibly want to have for Kakariko as well. And yeah, Qirn gets bailed out with getting some bombs in this chest as well, so you're not
I was just about to say, Qirn killed the guard too, didn't get the drop, but he gets bailed out by the very next chest.
Yeah, that's nice to see. It's always unfortunate when one runner doesn't get to check the back of escape.
Sometimes it's kind of nice, when it turns out there's nothing there, and you're like, haha, they got a little bit of an advantage for the lack of luck. But most of the time, that's not the case. But other than that Fire Rod, it's just been money, money, and more money.
Yeah. And we're about to come up here on the first boss battle. It's going to be a fairly simple one, I think. Yeah, both of them gets the quick kill. Nicely done.
Qirn had that green guard chasing him, so I had to take a little bit of a roundabout way out, but they both get that big 20 and move on. I'm not gonna lie, I think this is the most empty escape I have seen in a standard seed in a long time.
It doesn't get much more empty than this. At the very least, they got the bomb, so that's something.
But now on their way out to the dark room. Even in hard, this dark room will give you a free light cone in standard, so they don't have to worry about any of that. They just gotta kill the key rat and get to the back from there.
Yeah, I would say though, if you did not get a free light cone, then Fire Rod would be the ideal starting weapon.
Yeah, 100% would be.
So we don't have any map collected from Escape yet. I think if our runners are keeping track of their the items they're picking up, then maybe if they're fortunate enough, they can skip that chest if it happens to be in the sanctuary chest.
That's always a good feeling when you get through there and you're like, hey, I know a thing.
Yeah, right? Knowledge is power, and the more you know, the more power you have.
These two are very close coming through Escape. They made pretty much the same choices in terms of farming before the bomb chest, and because of that, they've been pretty steady alongside each other. The difference is about that green guard chasing Qirn versus not chasing BigDunka.
Yeah, I would say both Dunka and Qirn seems to be very evenly matched in a lot of their decision making and execution. From what I saw from the first race, the big thing making the make or break it was the ice pellets play that Qirn unfortunately didn't really pay off. And yeah, this is some really good thing here. But oh, once again, an enemy gets in the way of Qirn. This is just a tiny bit of time there.
There's that map, and a heart piece, and more money. And slight advantage for Dunka here from that bomb drop, as he's able to go up to the top, just bomb his way out of there. Qirn has to walk all the way from the bottom. Not a major thing, but definitely a faster trip going through the top.
Yeah.
With all things said and done, we still have just a fire rod, so I'm guessing we'll probably see some standard trip over to Kakariko more than anything else right now.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be the most common line of play after beating the opening sequence.
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of surprised that the second of the races between these two was the one picking hard difficulty and swordless, not the first, since the lower seed picks the second race. Usually we've been seeing the first races be the ones that are on the kind of silly, more difficult things, trying to play up the execution advantage if people feel they've got it. Today it seems like the lower seed is also kind of like, hey, I think I can take this.
Yeah. Could be a factor of it being swordless. If you feel very comfortable in your swordless execution and thinking maybe my opponent just is not as used to this, then upping the difficulty in swordless is definitely something that can catch even the best of people off guard.
Very true. We did get a map check. We had crystals at Terra, Eastern, and a green pendant at Desert. The crystal at Eastern is number 5.
So within very empty escape, we now have some pretty good items straight away here.
Yeah, Hookshot is great for mobility as well as just all around great for enemy dealing with. In hard mode, unlike the boomerang, it does still stun. So you don't have to worry about it not doing that. You can knock things out of your way instead of spending time killing them. It's all around just a great, great item to have.
Yeah. A nice tree pull there from Qirn, getting the 4 bombs, catching up a little bit when it comes to bombs. So they're not gonna have to spend any money buying bombs if they want to have like pretty being full decked out after Kakariko.
And I'm over here trying to think of, well, 20 rupees. Cane of Brian, which does not give you invincibility in hard mode. And nothing much else. I was gonna say, I'm trying to think of if there are any other differences in swordless that people should be aware of. Main ones I can think of is the hammer functionally replaces the sword. So once they get that, they can do Bombos and Ether tablets with the book, they can use the medallions, or no, they can't use medallions with hammers. That's only on specific tiles in Ice Palace or at the front of Mire and T-Rock. And the hammer also breaks Aghanim's barrier.
Yeah. Also, the bug net is a pretty relative item in when it comes to swordless. It can't be guaranteed required sometimes to beat Aga. And even if it isn't, it's just a pretty nice item to have on the Aga fight, actually, because otherwise you're going to have to use the hammer, which BigDunka actually just picked up.
Yeah, and speaking of the book with the tablets, they got the book and the hammer in there, so that was a convenient time to point out the value of those 2 items.
Yeah, for sure. We're just missing possibly the gloves now to maybe be able to beat Desert, depending if it's boots lock or not.
But unfortunately, we already know that we won't see a 3-heart Aegis Tower climb with nothing but, a single magic-based weapon. shout out to that Solsky DS match last night.
Yeah, that was for anyone who watched that. Yeah, that was a very rough Aga climb.
So Kakariko, not a huge amount of direct progression. This hammer is nice, the hookshot is nice, you're gonna need them both. The book you might need, but nothing that really immediately opens up any locations on its own for them. The library with the blue rupee is a sad sight to see. You always want to see like the moon pearl or something else you know you have to get early in there, because then it means, hey, we're getting boots.
Yeah, for sure. Who knows, maybe Desert is going to be boost locked, and that would require the boots to be found in the seed. Because it is all dungeons, so every single dungeon will be completed, including Aga Tower.
That's the one part of all dungeons people tend to always kind of forget. But
yeah.
The Aga Tower requirement, you're hopeful that you can just put it off till the very end and mirror from the Ganon hole, kill Aga, and then drop right in.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the more flexible ways to take care of that. Also happens to give you a pretty nice refill of your magic and health right before the Ganon fight as well, which is a pretty nice bonus. So both runners using the hookshot here in the dam in order to be able to hookshot over to the chest while pushing the block. This way they can get both the chest and activate the dam in one single trip, which is a pretty neat trick to do and saves you a little bit of time.
Yeah, it's easy to mess up, and when you do, you can just kind of do things normally. But once you do it enough, you pretty consistently just get it done and have no issues with it.
When Qirn taking the fish with him to see what it gives it from, get a 20 rupees, so not bad. And I guess it's a pretty interesting knowledge to have later on as well.
It's one that you don't see people do very often. It can be useful, but really the main use of it is in Randomizer, where those fish spawn everywhere.
Yeah. Interesting enough, I do believe this will give Qirn yeah. I guess it would have had over 500 anyways. It does have the magic number in case they decide to fake flipper over to Sora. Might not be as like interesting because you don't have the moon pearl yet, but it's definitely a valid play.
Sure, hey, there's a big 20, so now BigDunka is also over 500.
Yeah, seems good.
Yeah, the shoutouts to the blue male in Mini Moldorm Cave as well. They've still got no health whatsoever, but that is as good a male as they're ever going to have in the seed.
Yeah. It makes a huge difference for sure, especially when you're not being able to have as many hearts.
It looks like BigDunka is heading over to Desert at the moment.
Yeah, it's an interesting play. I definitely like it. Sometimes you might wait with that for a while, hoping to get the gloves, but just following the logic straight away can definitely be useful.
Yeah, you get a little bit torn between, I could go over to Sahasraral's house in Eastern Palace, look for maybe the boots or maybe, those power gloves, or just listen to what the seed is telling me, go to Desert and maybe get my moon pearl or something there.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Qirn is doing the fake flippers over to Hobo and then probably up to Sora. And BigDunka found 20 rupees, 20 green rupees. So that would have been the first sword of the sea. If this was not swordless.
And you look at that and you're just like, oh, I wish you were what you were supposed to be.
Yeah, right?
Swordless isn't too bad for the most part, but there are a couple of, hey, there's the Moon Pearl on the desert ledge. But yeah, there are a couple of sticking points. Ganon with the hammer can be tough if you've never tried it before. You definitely need silver arrows unless you are a madman. And a couple of the bosses get silly difficult if you don't have the right item set. Like, if you don't have bow for Vitreous, he goes from a relatively normal fight to one of the more difficult fights in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'd say both Cold Stare and Vitreous are really dependent on what gear you have. Like on Vitreous, it's really nice to be able to have the bow going in there, and on Cold Stare, it's very nice to be able to have the fire on. Although if they only have the fire on, they will have to use all of their magic to bring the shell down, and well, even if they have a magic potion, it will only refill half of it. So Qirn went the other way and went over to Sashla instead and got the flute, so definitely makes Death Mountain look pretty appealing right now.
Yeah, I'd say that's likely going to be his play before going to Desert. Also, there was a moment there where BigDunka walked into the torch room, saw the big 20 on there, immediately walked out. He went back to check the hint tile later, and it was just a joke hint. He's actually going to check this chest, although it is nothing. It's a map or a compass. He's seen both items, and he had the big key already. He is going to go back over to the left side. He is going to head out to grab the Moon Pearl, and then we'll see where he heads next. I think the Sahasrara's closet is a pretty likely place for him to go.
Yeah, it would make sense. And it looks like Qirn is deciding to head over to Desert first. He's going to be pretty happy to see that Moon Pearl, especially if, say, for example, when they go up Death Mountain later, they happens to get like some way to get to the dark Death Mountain. Then having that Moon Pearl could have been a pretty big difference.
For sure. The decision there pretty much comes down to, do I risk an extra Death Mountain climb to go to the dungeon that I can full clear, or do I go to the dungeon that I can't full clear but I don't need to kill the boss of, and look for stuff there? And he just saves and quit out of Sahasrara, or out of Vagina's cave on accident, I believe. So he's going to go back to Desert to get that Moon Pearl.
And there was the BigDunka using the boomerang, but it's not very effective against the blue guards or anything, for that matter. Switching to the hookshot now, and yeah, that works just fine.
Okay, I'm curious if Qirn noticed the Moon Pearl and just decided, I don't care about this before going up Death Mountain, or if he managed to kind of visually skip by it. I hope it's the former.
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely hope that's the case. Most of the times, getting the Moon Pearl would not be a pretty big deal, because you really don't need it until you get to the Dark World, so hopefully they remember that Moon Pearl is on that ledge.
The one catch and why I kind of disagree with not getting it first is you're going to be right up here, probably going to clear Hera. At that point, you're going to be right in front of Spike Cave, which will probably be in logic with a glove by then.
Yeah, that's very true. So it's an interesting thing when it comes to Qirn and Moon Pearls, because Qirn is kind of one of the leading people when it comes to doing all the crazy bunny glitches that you can do. So definitely seen him skip the Moon Pearl on purpose sometimes. I don't imagine that's the case this time for that purpose, but maybe they're just waiting to hopefully be able to do Desert like in one go. So,
why?
So there's our first good hint but it had some pretty bad news.
That is the worst hint I have seen all day.
Yeah, boots in Ganon's tower, that's rough. And Dunka decided not to go up to Death Mountain and getting rewarded straight away with getting the power gloves in Eastern Palace. So
Yeah.
that's the Dark World access.
Yep, Qirn jumped out of there as soon as he got the flute. Like, okay, this is what I came over here for. Let's get going. Turns out sticking it out a little bit longer was probably the better play.
Yeah. Dunka did do a dip into Eastern early in last seed as well and got pretty much burned from it. Didn't get anything whatsoever and had to double dip it. But deciding that that's not gonna like affect their gameplay now, they probably thought that was a good play first round, and seeing that, yeah, they decided to just fall out their guts this time as well.
And that hint there told us that there was a unique item in a chest requiring a specialist to unlock. That means the purple chest. Now, we haven't found the single arrow yet, so the unique item could be the single arrow. But it could also be random inventory items that we actually want to see.
Yeah, right now it could be tons of different things. So something we will be seeing at some point in this seed is the silver arrows, because during the hammer fight against Ganon, silverless, although it's possible, it's more or less almost not, because the frame window to do that with a hammer is very small. So I would imagine both runners would want to have the silvers for that. And funny enough, that's the only thing the silvers is going to be useful in this. Oh my god. Wait, I have to stop for a moment. Did you see what just happened here?
I did see what just happened there. That's just...
Yeah, BigDunka with the plays right now. Holy smokes.
It's one thing for French vanilla bow, but he got the vanilla big key and the exact normal big key chest, and then the vanilla bow following. That's just silly.
And BigDunka almost saved and quit out of there. They did not expect to see that bow show up. Yeah, as I was saying, the silvers are only useful on Ganon in hard mode, because the game will not let you use the silvers on anything else.
Yeah, one of the quirks of the higher difficulties that really throws people off if they aren't prepared for it is even once you get the silvers, you just can't switch to them, and you can get pretty confused if you don't know that's one of the catches of the mode. Some bombs is above the pose, so we don't need to check Graveyard Ledge, ever.
So the best news for Qirn here in Hera and the mountain in general would be don't get any glove upgrade, because that would force them to go into Eastern and not only get that glove, but also get that bow, which could otherwise be a very unfortunate placement for it.
Yeah, the best case scenario for Qirn would be that there is no other Dark World access available until he gets to Eastern, and then just pray that he doesn't dip out of the glove.
Nice bomb jump there from Qirn in order to skip falling down, and BigDunka has entered Dark World. He's heading over to Hype Cave straight away.
We got our Dark World map check with pendants at T-Rock and Thieves Town, and our other 5-6 crystals sitting at Mire. Well, one of those pendants is a thing you want to see.
Oh, and there's the silvers, so early bow, early silvers, but yeah, as we mentioned earlier, those silvers will not be used for anything except for Ganon. At the very least, they will not be very out of the way. It's pretty unfortunate if you have to go hunt for the silvers as your go mode item.
It's a little bit easier actually in Entrance Shuffle Swordless, because Ganon gives you a more specific hint on where the silvers are at. In normal modes, it's just like, oh really? You just couldn't give these to me on the way. And Moldorm is dead. Qirn gets his first Crystal of the Seed, and he really didn't get anything of note on Death Mountain. A couple of bottles that he can take to Sick Kid, but nothing that's really going to give him anywhere else to go.
Yeah, pretty crazy. There's one more item waiting for them here in the basement, but if that's nothing, then yeah, Death Mountain is definitely a bust.
It's very rare when you get early Death Mountain access and you get nothing from it.
And BigDunka did check the Stomach Kid, and that would have been their Master Sword at this point, so it would have been a fairly early Master Sword.
Even with only three levels of sword that you can get, that would have been, you know, almost to the max possible level already.
Yeah.
Sometimes these seeds are like, you look at him, you're like, if this were not swordless, this would be super friendly. Instead, it's kind of a jerk. Also, Digging Game came up with nothing. Qirn got his coffee break and is rewarded with a piece of heart that thankfully did not screw up his death warp.
Yeah, they're both runners still on 3 hearts, but that was definitely one of the moments when Qirn did not have another heart refill. I guess seeing as they're oh yeah, they still have Spiral Cave left.
Oh, Spiral Cave. I have bad memories of Spiral Cave, so I'm glad Qirn is going to check it so he doesn't have to share those bad memories.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I would imagine 1 or 2 runners definitely has that every now and then.
I am curious if that boots hint is going to affect Qirn at all in terms of routing. You know, there are some places that you'd like to put off until you get boots, but knowing you're not going to get them until GT, do you maybe do those things a little bit earlier, and could it pay off?
Yeah, that could definitely be a very valid strategy to go for.
I'm going to turn in this bottle to the Sick Kid while BigDunka makes his way through Old Man Darkroom. The Sick Kid gives Qirn his last rupee.
Yeah. So good news for Qirn is that BigDunka is now up on Death Mountain and is gonna use about as much time as Qirn spent here, getting more or less nothing. The only difference being that BigDunka could do Spike Cave as well, so if that is something that could be pretty big, because that item or that location could be quite isolated for Qirn for quite a while.
Also, I just realized, correct me if I'm wrong, did Qirn not get either tablet while he was up there?
They did get it. It was only 10 arrows, I believe.
Okay, I just somehow managed to miss that one. I'm glad about that. Since I know that the hammer requirement for activating the tablets is something that is easy to forget while you're up there if you're not used to swordless.
Yeah.
So I could have definitely seen someone just being like, okay, I'll come back with a sword if I need to. We'll see if Qirn remembers that he doesn't need to check the last chest in here or not.
Yeah, counting item is definitely a useful thing to do. So you know if you need to keep checking or not. Especially in some of the bigger dungeons when you might be able to skip quite a lot of item or chests actually if you manage to get the items early. Looks like Qirn does remember that and is just heading to get that Moon Pearl.
So small little time save, not a major one, but he got a little bit out of it. Also, Dunka is doing the
Yeah.
Spiral Cave before heading over to Tower of Hera. That's an interesting way to route Death Mountain.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty telltale sign that BigDunka is thinking about doing Spy Cave after Hera. And that way they don't have to choose between doing either Spiral Cave or Spy Cave.
Yeah, I'd say that I'd say that's pretty likely. Also, worth noting, with Spike Cave probably on the horizon, the hard mode changes to items don't apply in Spike Cave effectively. Namely, Cane of Burno will give you invincibility in Spike Cave while it won't elsewhere. And it will, and the bottles will full heal your magic and health. Essentially, it's treated as if it was normal in that cave, so that there doesn't have to be any additional or confusing logic at all. Qirn now making the play up to the Zora area, which is a sequence break for him. We know that Zora in particular is available logically if he just went to Eastern Palace, but these two chests are undeniably a sequence break. And hey, he got a heart piece.
Yeah. Qirn is definitely in lead at the moment when it comes to heart pieces. And there's the red boomerang. Probably nothing that people will go out of their way to get, and especially not in this mode, as we mentioned before.
We already got the blue boomerang that will serve every purpose the boomerang has on the seed. There's really no reason whatsoever to go for the red one.
Nothing from Sora might be a good thing actually, because I think Qirn is not forced to go to Eastern Palace, which will give them not only Dark World access but also that bow.
Just have to really hope that he sticks it out. Oh, he's gone. Where are you going? Okay, either he forgot this is standard mode and is trying to go do escape, or he's gonna go try to make the Dark Aga play?
It could be the Dark Aga play, although it seems very interesting to do that, seeing how it's both not in logic and also means that they will skip progression in...
He's definitely going for this. I can't say I agree with this one. You know there's got to be something in Eastern Palace. You're an item away from Dark World access. You know, if it's Aghanim and you go over there, then hey, you waste a little bit of time. If it's not Aghanim and you go over there, you save 6 minutes.
Yeah. Although Aga is required no matter what, so at the very least, this is something they're gonna have to do at some point. And yeah, I wouldn't say I agree with this play, but I am a fan of the Dark Aga play, so I'm pretty excited to see it, especially with Swordless. Makes it a little bit harder even.
Yeah, the Swordless factor is going to make this a little bit interesting to watch how he gets through here.
The Fire Rod definitely helps, because there's torches in every room, and if you can light them, then the dark rooms don't become too much of a problem. So the one reason I could see the Qirn doing this for is possibly to, if they're hoping to get like the mirror in Pulse of Darkness, and they could combine Pod and Eastern, I guess. I'm trying to be optimistic here to why one would do this play, although I'm not complaining about it. It's definitely an interesting play. They will also get the yeah. They will also get the hint tile here which is knowledge they could have before BigDunka for quite a long time. So if that's something important, then that could actually be pretty big.
Yeah, the downside here is we know that you could definitely put off the Aga play until the very end when you're right there in front of Ganon.
Yeah.
So once they get Mirror, Qirn is going to have to sit there and mirror back to Light World to save and quit to a Light World location. Otherwise, he'll spawn on the pyramid. Dunka's not going to have to deal with that. That's a little bit of a... Sometimes it's going to help you out, but most of the time it's just going to be getting in the way of convenient save and quit movement.
Yeah. So Qirn checked the hint tile there before killing both of the red guards. Last seed, Qirn did forget to check that hint in Aga Tower, because they did have to do an early Aga for Darkwood access. So that could have been on their mind. And BigDunka getting the heart refill now because of getting that heart piece. Something interesting here as well is that Qirn is now, with this play, being forced to do the hammer Aga fight instead of the Bugnet one, which I would say most people probably would agree is a little bit harder, and they don't have too much health. So they do have a potion though, so it should be fine.
Yeah, at least the Hammer Aga 1 isn't too bad. Hammer Aga 2 is a nightmare, but 1 isn't so bad.
We're gonna hope, first of all, if you want to wish or guess how many blue balls we're gonna see here, go ahead right now, because we're gonna start this fight quite soon. You see the curtains are already cut. That's because this is swordless, so that way you can get into the fight. And last seed that they did against each other was a pretty rude Aga fight. It was 9 blue balls. I think 8 of them were like blue balls in a row. So they're probably gonna get a nicer Aga fight this time, but we'll see. Oh, Qirn missing the first energy ball. That's unfortunate. This is not an easy. Oh, missing another one. But yeah, this is definitely not an easy fight with the hammer. The timing has to be pretty spot on.
And you usually don't want to stand directly straight ahead because of how it hits. And 2 blue balls, both of which kind of hit Qirn on their explosion. 1.5 hearts remaining, and hasn't gotten a hit yet on Aghanim.
Yeah, missing the third one too. That's unfortunate. This will make the possibility of blue balls higher than BigDunka might have, because normally when we're counting blue balls, we're counting how many blue balls it would have been if you hit every single energy ball. Do you believe Aga would have been dead at this point even?
I believe that was the start of the 3rd cycle that would have killed him, because I know we saw 3 blue balls, if I recall. So that should have been the last hit there. He's going to use his blue potion, give himself the health back.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. It was actually pretty scared there, because Qirn was at 1 heart, and if you miss that energy ball, that does 1 heart of damage, so...
Meanwhile, BigDunka is heading into Skullwoods. Going to go ahead and dip in here. Probably cleared out while he's here. He's got the Fire Rod. He's got the Hammer for Moth. No reason not to just get it done right now.
And there's Aga down for Qirn. I'm not sure if he got any extra blue balls, but he definitely had to do a couple of extra energy balls to get Aga down.
Yep, and he's going to be the first one to check the pyramid. This could be a nice perk of the early Aga play here. Nope. No, it's not.
So saving and quitting, that's interesting. Right after beating Aga.
Yeah, I expected to see the pod play or, over to West Dark World with the hookshot. Didn't quite expect the insta save and quit.
Yeah, they're getting a potion so they can potion glitch pod. Because they had to use their potion against the Aga. Okay, that makes sense. We saw Qirn did this play last seed as well. Got rewarded with the half magic for doing the bottle glitch in Palace of Darkness. As we know it right now, that's not going to be even necessary if you went to Eastern first, but it's nothing that Qirn has any knowledge of quite yet.
Yeah, it's the wonders of Rando on display, where it's like, we're sitting here going, well, if you just went to Eastern, you wouldn't need to do this glitch. And he's sitting there going, I really don't want to go to Eastern without the bow.
Yeah. It's unfortunately also going to make this a double dip of pod, which could have been a single one. But the best news here for Qirn would be seeing the mirror in pod for sure, I think.
Yeah, that would be a huge perk if he was able to get that.
So BigDunka is now on its way to Mothfly. We see the curtain or the vines this time around being cut in advance as well. And this is going to be a 4-heart Mothfly with the hammer, so it's a pretty hard fight, I would say, but does have some magic as well if they want to keep their distance a little bit.
Yeah, and Blue Mail helps out. Everything is going to do 1 heart of damage, not Moth doing 2 on top of the spikes doing 1.
Yeah, for sure, that's definitely helpful. Getting some nice hits here.
Yeah, he also still has his blue potion, so he'll get a partial health or a full health refill because of his low health and half magic, but doesn't need it.
Yeah, who needs that extra heart anyways? And wow, Qirn getting the Power Glove in Palace of Darkness instead of in Eastern, so they're gonna get the mids as soon as they go in there. And they do know that progression, or they should know at least, that progression is in Eastern.
Yeah, and you know, the only downside is if you think it's the lamp, but it's got to be either the lamp or a glove in Eastern at this point, because you need to get access to Dark World somehow.
Yeah, oh yeah, right. That make actually the Aga play a lot more feasible than if they thought that the lamp was in there. But that could be terrible news. That could mean that they're gonna skip Eastern for even longer. Nicely done bottle glitch here. If you use a potion in the right way in that room before the mimics, you can kind of trick the camera a little bit and make the game think that the mimics are dead, so you don't need the bow to get through them. And so BigDunka heading into Village of Outcast here. They're gonna be able to full clear Thieves Town. They do have the hammer, so they don't have to worry about leaving anything behind. So definitely imagine seeing that play coming up here.
Ideally, if you're a BigDunka, you see like 3 items up front. You can just dip out because it's a pendant, and well, no, it's all dungeons, so we need to clear it anyway. Never mind. I'm dumb.
Nah, it's all dungeons. It's not every day you see that, or it probably will be every day you see that, to be honest, for the next coming weeks. But
yeah, we'll all be used to it by the end of this group stage. Probably even more used to it by the end of brackets, but we got Thieves Town starting. We got Qirn about to be going to the back of pod, I would imagine.
yeah, very nice fire rod shot there to make the switches turn over to the red one.
Yeah, the hitbox on that fire rod shot is big enough for that. It's not an easy thing to do. Usually, like the Canis of Mario or the bow are pretty ideal for it, but nicely done with the fire rod.
So a shovel in the back of pod. And BigDunka does have the Quake medallion here from the Outcast area. Also got the cape now. That's a pretty nice item to have. It will drain a lot more magic than in a normal mode, but it can still be a pretty good item to have every now and then, even though maybe a little bit less in Sword Art.
Since he did start down at, or since he did do Digging Game when he first came to Dark World, he can pretty easily just head up to Bumper Cave now, see if the cave gives him anything there.
Yeah, for sure. See Dunka using the hookshot as much as possible to get their some maneuverability. Good thing to do, especially since you know that the boots is gonna be late. So use what you can.
Qirn over here trying to do Dark Maze with just the hammer, which is not by any stretch of the imagination an easy task.
Yeah, it's down to one heart, so it's gonna have to be really careful here.
Oh, he would have loved to have had that hint before he went up Death Mountain.
Oh, I missed a hint. What did it say?
A piece of heart is fire locked in Tower of Hera.
Oh, yeah, that that hurts.
The wonderful thing about hints is they don't care where items are or where you are. They just have hints about random items, so sometimes it's something that you did an hour ago.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, did you know that there's, an item in Link's house? You're like, yes, I did.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if when we get to Ice Palace, it's gonna say like, "Hey, there's a glowing pod."
Best one for Ice Palace is when you get a hint about flippers in there, and it's like,
Yeah.
this is logically required to get here, so this hint is supposed to be useless. But I don't have flippers yet. This is nice.
Yeah, actually. Qirn did make it through the Dark Learn pod. They didn't get too much. They did get the shovel. I think that was about it. I guess they did get the glove. That's pretty big. And probably a little bit unfortunate for Qirn, because they're skipping Eastern.
Yeah, I mean, the glove didn't really open anything new in the Dark World to him. With the hammer and the hookshot, he was able to freely go to the west side of the world and wander around there anyway. So it's not like it really gives him more options. It's just he's never going to Eastern until the very end at this point.
Yeah, that definitely seems to be the path that Qirn has set himself on. And hey, there's bombos in the big chest of Thieves Town. Bombos, funny enough, was required for all of the Titansmiths locked dungeons last seed. So we'll see how many it turns out to be required for today, or in this seed.
It's also a nice to have an Ice Palace because you can use it against Cold Stare and preserve some magic for your fight instead of only having to rely on Hammer for that. So it's a very nice thing to have, even if it's not required.
Yeah, for sure. Ooh, Qirn is heading into Swamp Palace to check a hint tile.
I like this.
Yeah. Unfortunately, just a joke hint. Oh no, BigDunka. Oh, BigDunka using the... Forgetting that they don't get invincible by the blue cane and walk straight into blind. That was unfortunate.
Yeah, that's a very easy thing to forget, and oddly enough, Blue Cane Blind can be required by logic in certain things. So when you're playing hard mode, sometimes you gotta do Burna Blind with no invincibility. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, that's That's just me when that happens. So BigDunka is walking away from Feast Town right now. I'm not sure if they got all the items or not.
I believe they did. I'm not 100%, but I believe I saw 4 items in there.
And
to respond to something in chat real quick, there is a plan, as far as I'm aware, to have the race parameters on the stream somewhere. The ALTTPR channels already have it in place. I believe it's in the works for speed gaming, if I heard correctly. Just as kind of a reminder to everyone watching what this seed is. It is a standard hard all dungeon seed with no swords, and it had well, it has no variation. There we go. Sometimes words are hard, especially in the middle of sentences.
Yeah, that's the nature of words sometimes. So BigDunka has everything they need in order to full clear pod. Not quite in logic because they don't have the lamp, but I think both of our runners are confident enough in their dark rooms in order to skip that. We've definitely seen that already from Qirn, and I would imagine BigDunka has the same mindset.
Yeah, BigDunka is gonna get the Titan's Mitt from Pod, which is likely gonna take him up Death Mountain to Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny Cave, since that's gonna be his highest density area left available by the time he's done here.
Yeah, that seems reasonable to me.
Meanwhile, Qirn gonna repeat everything Dunka just did, clearing Skull Woods, going into Thieves Town to clear that out, and then we'll see where he goes from there. His options are gonna start getting pretty limited without that Titan's Mitt, I think.
Yeah, and that's probably a good thing. Forcing them to use it sooner rather than later.
Now, okay, so we know Dark Death Mountain is open. But if we're going to get go mode, we're going to need to find the flippers, we're going to need to find, logically, the lamp, the ice rod, the cane of Samaria, the mirror. There's still actually a solid amount of items left unfound. But I think once Dark Death Mountain hits, I'm guessing, is probably going to be where things kind of break open.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we also need the mirror. I don't think I named that one off, but that's one of those ones that you wish you have early every time, and sometimes you just get it super late.
Yeah, so the Titan's Mitts, they do open up a few more locations, including the Smith sequence and 2 chests in Meyer, potentially actually even going into Meyer, seeing as we have 2 medallions. But yeah, the Dark Death Mountain definitely seems to be the more lucrative one, especially since that doesn't involve possibly double dipping a dungeon that you might not be able to clear yet.
Yeah, you can make arguments for pretty much all the paths that are going to be available. We know there's a unique item in Purple Chest, so I would say Smith Route is a decent choice, but my preference would be going up Death Mountain first, looking for the mirror before trying to do the Smith sequence.
Oh yeah, right. I totally forgot about that hint. That would be a pretty terrible spot to have the mirror, wouldn't it?
It is 100% the worst mirror location.
So something we saw Qirn do last seed was fake flipping into Ice Palace, which could be one of the options as well. You know that you're not going to get the flippers from it, but you could get some other items, and it's also free hint tiles in there, which kind of makes Ice Palace a little bit more valuable than it used to be.
Yeah, out of all the adjustments to the balance, so to speak, that V30 brought along with the hints, Ice Palace probably got the biggest benefit from going from 3 items that are pretty slow to 3 items and 3 hints that, for 6 things, not bad.
Nicely done fight there from Qirn, taking them offline, getting their second crystal.
Now, presumably going to head straight south to Thieves Town after he clears out for the other item in the dungeon. I don't know if Dunka's looking to see if there's a torch in this room and forgot there wasn't, or just trying to use the fire rod to locate himself, which is a very costly way to try to keep track of your location.
Yeah. Did see they were almost thinking about switching over to bombos as well to maybe take care of the enemies, but yeah, no can do in Swordless, which they luckily remembered before actually trying it out.
But if he had tried it, we could have got that nice sound.
Hey, there's our last medallion from the dig spot, which is unlocked by Pod.
So we know we're not going on a medallion hunt today.
Yeah. So that definitely opens up the possibility of going into Mire.
And
so interesting enough, in Swordless you need to have the hammer in order to use the medallions, but it does not affect opening up Mire. You can actually do that without the hammer, although it's rarely a thing you have to do. I guess technically you could do that with Turtrock as well, but you kind of need the hammer to even get to that place. So
yeah, it also works on the tiles they put into Ice Palace, whether you have the hammer or not. So in Swordless, you can be forced into a hammerless, bombos-only Ice Palace play. And it is every bit as awful as you would think it is. And Dunka is making that play up to Dark Death Mountain. He's going to go check the 6 very quick locations here, see what medallion T-Rock requires. He decided to peace out of Pod instead of going to kill Helmasaur.
we saw Qirn doing a pretty late map check there. Well, kind of makes sense because in old dungeons the dungeons order they do matter a bit, but definitely less than in a normal just Gan and go.
Yeah, you gotta know what your 5/6 are for Pyramid Fair. You gotta know what your pendants are in case of Sasrala or the pedestal being important. But it's not really important to know super early until you get a bunch of dungeons open to you. It's mostly just important to know later. T-Rock requiring Quake, so Dunka can open that up now.
Yeah, and it will be very interesting to see if the Arcane happens to be up here, if Duncan decides to go into Turtrock without the Ice Rod or not.
Yeah, that would be... If he gets the cane and dives in there, that could be a huge play, or could be just plain awful.
Oh, and there's a mirror. That is pretty big.
Yeah, pretty much exactly what you want to see coming up here before going to some of the other options.
Yeah, for sure. So sometimes when you get mirror late, it's kind of a pain because you usually left all of those mirror locations out of the way. But we already know that both Graveyard Ledge and what's the other one, Mimic Cave, are basically nothing of value. So that's pretty good news for both our runners. They're not really gonna have to care about any of those mirror locations except for Checkerboard and K45.
Very true. And Duncan going over here to grab the mushroom off the floating island while he's up here. Not a bad idea.
So Dunka is leaving. Interesting, they open up Tetrarch, and in the very first room, even if you don't have the Chaos Mario, there is a hint tile that you can check. I don't believe Dunka checked that, or if he did, I totally missed it.
I don't recall either. I believe he did, but I'm not 100%.
So Duncan now heading towards the Smith sequence, it would appear. Makes a lot of sense, and as you mentioned earlier, the hint tiles did tell them about the unique item in Purple Chest, so just happens to be that we're looking for unique items at this point.
Yep, and then getting the mirror makes us a lot quicker. So blacksmith hammer pegs you don't necessarily have a huge bet on, but it's pretty safe to assume that purple chest is going to be relevant. Okay, first things first, the hammer pegs have just a heart container. Although I guess when you're an hour in, you've got 5 hearts. It's not just a heart container at that point. It's, yes, a heart container.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, there is a heart container, a full one, in Mimic Cave, so we might actually see that after all. If they still are pretty low on hearts at that point.
If I recall, hard mode maxes out at 13, which is what you end up with in NMG if you just pick up the heart containers from the dungeons. But Qirn also using Cane O'Brien to kill blind, but it works out a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they fully realized what they were doing there, but it turned out just fine, luckily.
But yeah, I 100% forget what I was saying as he turned on the Cane of Burna and ran at blind.
Yeah,
you get
I'm talking about the hearts.
Yeah, you get at most 13, which is kind of what you would expect in an NMG run. But of course, those hearts are spread around just like they are in normal. So you're now out of a pool of 20 hearts that you normally end up at like 13 or 14. You're out of a pool of 13, so ending up with somewhere in like the 8 to 10 range is pretty common.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. They're BigDunka picking up their Your third medallion. Good thing to have before heading over to Meyer. Don't really know what medallion that would require, but it doesn't hurt to have all of them heading over there.
If it takes all the stress of medallion hunting off, you just know, okay, we're good. Qirn going to Bomb Chest, getting his Quake medallion. He now also has all 3 of the medallions.
Oh boy.
Okay.
That is a pretty nice item to get there.
Yep,
Especially
that
after
means
picking up that last medallion.
Yep, that means that both Misery Mire is full clearable if you're willing to do the Dark Room. T-Rock is still an Ice Rod away from full clearable, but
yeah, Meyer seems pretty lucrative if you're comfortable with the Dark Rooms. Looks like that's what Dunka is heading. You have 2 items in Meyer, and you have actually Meyer is actually blocking 4 items right now because it's the second 5/6 crystal, and then you have 3 items in the Meyer area as well. Looks like it was Quake again, so
could be all 3 medallions decently early, and then everything requires Quake.
Makes sense. Why not? Hey, a heart container, and there's the third sword, I believe, or I think possibly that the second mail upgrade also turns into 20 rupees after you get blue mail.
Believe that might be right. I can't remember for certain if the blue mail turns into 20 or 5. And gonna take his time to go grab this heart piece out of Checkerboard Cave, nice and quick. And again, you're very limited on health in hard mode.
Yeah, and it does turn out to be a refill and another heart container, so that's pretty nice as well.
So Qirn is going to Spike Cave. At this point, he's pretty much got no other option after this except to go to Eastern Palace. Or at least I think he's pretty much exhausted every other option.
Yeah, I kind of hope that's the case, because there's a lot of value in Eastern right now.
I like that hard reset there to keep the magic that he just used in Spike Cave.
Yeah, makes sense. Magic is a little bit rough to get to.
I think he may be headed to Catfish.
Yeah, and I believe he will be the first one to check that out, so...
Yeah, it could definitely be required. It's a decent chance that it's gonna be garbage, because Catfish loves to give garbage, but...
Yeah, that's what Catfish tends to do. We're still looking for both the flippers and the ice rod, which could be there. Could also be the lamp, because we don't really have that in logic quite yet, and that would at the very least make Meyer and Tortraka just a little bit easier.
Yeah, especially Meyer Darkroom without the sword to really track position, it would be much easier with the lamp.
Yeah.
The TR Darkroom, you just use the fire bars to track your position, so it doesn't really matter for that at all, but...
BigDunka finishing up the pendant at Desert, and it is the green pendant, so we'll give them one more item later on, so... Seems like a good idea to finish that off while comboing it for Meyer.
Actually, kind of surprised he's diving away right away like that.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't blame anyone for not wanting to do Mire in the dark. It's not really a dungeon that you practice to without a sword. Dark rooms, because in a normal seed, if you're not playing swordless, you will always have a sword going to Mire.
It's true, and Qirn going to Desert Palace, gonna go kill Land Molus, and that will give him a green pendant, which will hopefully finally bring him over to Eastern Palace.
Yeah. So Qirn in the first seed did a pretty big gamble, fake flippering into Ice Palace without the hammer. Got the bow from it, so it looked fairly good at that point, but it ended up kind of biting them a bit. And this seed doing a maybe even bigger gamble, doing Aga early without even having it in logic, hoping the lamp was in Eastern, and it just turns out it kind of bite them again. So it's quite unfortunate.
It's a downside when you take a risk like that, when you go with those gambles. Part of you is you gotta stick to it, because if you were wrong, you're way behind. But, in this case, it's all dungeons. The Ega seed hurt it, and the Ega play hurt. It wouldn't have been the, optimal play, but it wasn't going to hurt that much, because your opponent has to do it too. It might be quicker for them, but they have to do it.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
It's a gamble that he could have gone back on a lot earlier if he had decided, maybe I shouldn't risk this. It's not like normal where there's no way I can take this back.
Yeah. And it's just a little bit extra unfortunate that the bow happens to be in Eastern, because otherwise you could just like wait with Eastern until you get the bow and then just not double dipping it. But turns out you never had to double dip Eastern.
Gets 2.5 Lambos down with the Fire Rod, just has to get a couple hits with the Tempered Sword to wrap this part up. And then we'll hopefully be seeing him head to the best place on Earth. Of course, there's still the somewhat worrying option that he goes into Eastern, finds the Titan Smith, and says, "Oh, Death Mountain," and just kind of immediately leaves.
Oh no, I did not even think about that. Yeah, that would be super unfortunate. Let's hope that's not gonna be a thing. Oh, picking up the rocks while floating. Unfortunately, you cannot be grabbed when doing that.
Dunko just got through the Dark Turtle room using the torch to help him out, but kinda got bodied a little bit by those turtles. Not so much in the health damage way, but in the just unable to get them killed in an efficient manner. So now he's on Helmasaur, which is not too bad, but without a sword, a lot more dangerous than most are used to.
Yeah, we did see Dunka farming up a little bit of arrows before heading here to the back, and this is why it's a pretty dangerous thing to just go and smack Helmasaur with the hammer, because you have to get so close to him, so using the arrows is definitely a safer option.
And Helmasaur was nice, just kind of stood there and took the arrows. A lot of times trying to do non-silver arrow Helma is a nightmare.
So here we go. Qirn is in Eastern, and in one way or another gonna get some progression here, and hopefully get all of the progression here.
Please don't leave, Qirn. Don't listen to your gut when you pick up this glove.
Yeah, at least it's not in the first chest, so maybe at that point they're like, yeah, let's just continue. But
yeah, it's a little bit of a benefit, you gotta be at least actually in the dungeon, so... Dunka looks to be headed back to Thieves Town to go take revenge on Blind.
Yep, and good news, everyone. Looks like Qirn is deciding to go on.
Well,
That is very good news.
that is very good news, although I'll tell you this much. To Qirn, the moment he picks up that bow, it's not going to seem like good news. It's gonna
Yeah,
feel like I have lost this race an hour ago.
yeah. And it's not going to be a good feeling, but that's the way with Random sometimes. Sometimes the seed just doesn't really play out for you the way you intended to. Nice strats here from BigDunka using the King of Samaria. Definitely a lot safer than using the hammer here. You can kind of keep your distance away from blind.
Blind stop moving at the perfect time to render that one block useless.
Yeah. Gets the job done though, and is picking up another pendant. More importantly, another dungeon completed.
And so Dunka is just looking for the flippers and the ice rod at this point. Qirn is going to get his bow here soon. He'll still need the flippers, the ice rod, the cane, and the mirror. Cane and mirror, if you remember your hint, you're going to find the cane. If you go to kind of the straightforward Mitz location, you're going to get your mirror. The other two, once he gets those, he's going to have to play a little bit of dungeon catch-up. Not a whole lot, but a little.
So it looks like Dunka is deciding to go into Charter Rock. Seems fairly likely we'll find progression here. Could be Meyer still.
Yeah, I definitely
doesn't have the ice rod yet.
I would definitely say that Meyer is the safer play. You can full clear, you can get everything. It's 4 items if you count Pyramid Fairy. But T-Rock is kind of the... I hate to call it a gamble, but it's kind of the gamble play. Like, let's hope that Ice Rod is in here. Although, looking at it, Dunka only has 5 arrows, and Vitreous with Hammer is not so great.
Yeah.
So you kind of hope to have a decent amount of arrows that you can lob into him.
Duncan trying to open up Tart Rock, but it was already open, so here we finally see that hint in Tart Rock. It turns out to be absolutely nothing of value at all.
Listen, if you're going to play Zelda 1 after this, you might need to know that the 10th enemy has the bomb.
Yeah? Is that what it's referencing to?
Yeah, it's a obscure hint in Zelda 1 referencing that if you kill the 10th enemy without taking damage with a bomb, they'll drop bombs.
Huh. Well, you learn something new every day.
Qirn is approaching his Armos fight. He's got to get through this little straightforward room that's very little difference from non-swordless modes. And then go shoot the Armos a whole bunch.
Yep. Doing a good setup here for a quick kill. And there we go.
First item out of T-Rock is a 20 rupees. Got a big key as well as Qirn picks up the crystal. So I'm guessing that Qirn may just head over to Pod and go finish that up while he's here. I guess it's no quicker to do it now than any other time, but...
Yeah, looks like he's in the same mindset as you right now, and definitely going for that play. So something interesting here that I will say about the Tart Rock play. If it so happens that Flippers is the progression in here, that could have definitely been like a big reason to have done the Ice Palace play. because oh no, unfortunate death there from Dunka. Luckily not too far into the dungeon. But yeah, like that sequence break in that case could possibly have saved you from double dipping Tut Rock, which double dipping Tut Rock is kind of a pain. It's such a long dungeon.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, running back through when you've already cleared it isn't that bad, but it's still long even in that sense. It's as long to run back through as some dungeons are to full clear.
Yeah.
Let's see, Chain Chomps be a little bit friendlier. Yep, gets a small key and can move on.
I mean, I would say they were pretty friendly last time as well. They did the best they could to hug BigDunka at every moment.
That is true. They were just trying to be friends.
Yeah, they're just misunderstood.
Now heading to the vanilla big key chest. Qirn going to be coming up on the dark turtle room with the fire rod, much like it was for BigDunka. You just walk to the right a little bit, light a torch, and it's no big deal. So you don't have to deal with the nightmare that is usually dark turtle room. Wrong size key in that chest. It's the right kind of thing to be in there, just, not the right size.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do believe that means that you already have the big key at this point then.
Yeah, that was in the fire rod locked room toward the beginning, alongside a big 20. See if the turtle room goes a little bit better for Qirn than it did for Dunka. It definitely did.
Yeah. Always nice to be able to get this second room before the torches go out, just to make them a little bit faster, especially when you don't have the sword to kind of guide your way through. Dunka is picking up the mirror, so it's going to decide to pick up this heart container. Yeah, as we mentioned before, like picking up safety is not a bad idea in hard mode because there's a lot less of them.
Also worth noting that after he picks up this crystal, Qirn will have caught up on the dungeon front, so despite everything that has gone on with him missing Eastern Palace for so long, he's not in terrible shape. He's got a little bit of catching up to do on items, but he's on the same level in terms of crystals and pendants.
Yeah, and Tut Rock could be the decider, seeing if it's required to double dip or to go into without the ice rod, that is, or not.
Of course, there's always the lovely option that's, pretty exclusive to all dungeons, in which the ice rod could be in Ganon's tower.
Oh yeah, you're totally right about that one. I did not even consider that.
Three bombs from that chest. We got Laser Bridge left, and then BigDunka will have to leave and come back later.
Yeah. So that means we're only the flippers away from being able to enter Ganon's tower. And Qirn is he's going for the big play here again. Going into Ice Palace without the flippers.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I see where he's coming from on this. You get that feeling of, I just found a glove and the bow in Eastern an hour and 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, he really has been consistently getting stuff done. I don't know if I'd make the big gamble play when Purple Chest has an item, when they're 6 up on Death Mountain. I don't know if you really need to make the big gamble. I think you can just play it straight and rely on the fact that the progress you've made while waiting for that bow was enough to keep you in the race.
Yeah. At the very least, they're going to be able to full clear this. So they will be getting the crystal. And yeah, in Qirn's mind, does have more items that he's searching for right now than just like the flippers and ice rods. So it could be mirror in here, it could be King of Samaria, and there's the flippers.
Speaking of the flippers,
and the ice road as well. Are you kidding me?
So that's go mode for BigDunka.
That is go mode indeed. That is bonkers. All the value on Laser Bridge.
It was fantastic and well worth the crazy magic usage that cape just used.
Yeah. That's unfortunate, even more unfortunate news for Qirn, because there's no guaranteed items in here. Possibly the last hint could tell them something useful, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, the best he could hope for in here was Lamp. If you really didn't want to do T-Rock and Mire Dark, maybe Lamp's here.
Yeah, we did see
Wait, no, Lamp can't be here because flippers on Laser Bridge required a dark room, so you can't even find that. It's just nothing.
You're right. We did see Dunka avoid a little bit of Mire, so we'll see if they're wanting the lamp, but I guess the most likely place to find the lamp right now is actually in Mire.
Yeah, it's seeming that way. And thinking it over a little bit, I think the best thing Qirn could hope for would be the bug net in Ice Palace, and then just hoping that Dunka has some difficulties with everyone's dear friend Aghanim 2 with the hammer. Dunka through the fire and ice heads of Trinex. He is on to phase 2. Phase 2 being very, very easy comparatively.
Yeah, getting some nice hammer hits in there straight away. Just need one more, and there we go.
What will Trinex's reward be? It is $5. Enough to buy 1 foot-long sub at Subway.
Yeah. We're looking at BigDunka's collection in terms of rupees. I'd say they could eat quite a lot if they wanted to then.
Definitely could. Also, Dunka is about to live the dream, getting to go mode Swamp Palace, Ice Palace, and Misery Mire.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Even if the big key in Ganon's Tower is on the torch, we do know, and the runners do know, that boots are actually in Ganon's Tower, so that's not going to be an issue as well.
Where is Dunka going? He's already cleared Tower of Hera. He's got nothing else that he would need this mirror out coming up here for.
Does he want a bottle for an extra potion, maybe, for mine?
Oh, that could be. Almost got hugged by Kirby there. That would have been unfortunate.
Yeah, that's probably one of the longer text boxes in the game.
Oh hey, Qirn got the highest level shield available in this seed. I'm sure he's very excited by that.
Yeah. I mean, it could help a little bit in Mire, I guess, but not really something they're looking for right now.
Now, on to face Cold Stare. We haven't mentioned it throughout, but there have been these little tiles on the ground showing bombos. You can't use medallions without a sword in any mode, except for on these little tiles like the ones in front of T-Rock and Mire, which are designed to let you use the medallion in swordless, regardless of your equipment. So those tiles were added to Ice Palace to expand what the logic could do, to make it possible for swordless as well to have the option of Bombo's Ice Palace. And dear lord, the fact that Qirn is on 2 hearts is making this nerve-wracking.
Yeah, also ran out of magic as one of the puffs were dying, so you couldn't even switch the hammer at that point, just had to dodge. This is gonna be a intense fight right now.
Please don't die, Qirn.
So both of the puffs should be fairly damaged at this point. Oof, almost getting hit by the ice there. Does have the blue mail, so an ice hit would be more preferable than one of the puffs. Get one more puff down, so only one more left.
Get him, Qirn. Get him.
There we
Yes!
go. Well played. Well played.
A death on cold stare is so painful. I
Yeah.
never want to see anyone die there.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most costly bosses to die on in terms of getting back to the boss again, in terms of time loss.
So finished with Ice Palace, Qirn saves and quits, and he heads to the mountain. Probably gonna go check Dark Death Mountain. That's gonna get him his... Oh, no, he's pulling out the flute.
Yeah. Might be beelining for this purple chest that does have progression. Qirn does know that it's a unique item. It's just a little bit unfortunate that you could do it with the mirror.
Yeah, he's got a few items left for go mode. I don't blame him for going for progression because he doesn't have a whole lot open necessarily. But at the same time, well, no, actually, this is just flat out a very reasonable play because you know Purple Chest has something. Without that, I would call it a little bit crazy, but...
And Qirn at this point still only has 5 hearts, which is pretty crazy. Those myths has blocked quite a lot of heart containers.
Yeah, the difference in health between these two is actually kind of silly.
BigDunka using the bombos as well here makes a lot of sense. You want to use the fire rod as much as possible. Those have potions as well, in case that will be needed. Ooh, nice triple hit there with the fire rod. Getting one of the puffs down before magic runs out, and seeing how much health they have, yeah, they're just switching to the hammer. There's no need to use a potion quite yet.
He's got all the safety if he needs it, but...
Yeah. There's one more puff down. It's definitely allowed to go a little bit more aggressive here, seeing how much health they had. Didn't really need to risk the one-hit KO mode, and nicely done. A really good fight.
Very nice indeed. Now the question is, does he go to Swamp Palace or Mire next? It doesn't really matter, but he is going to be on a nice, smooth route to the end either way at this point. Then he's going to get that sweet, sweet moment of having killed Aghanim 2 and not being able to drop him again, having to mirror over to the light world, climb Aghanim's tower, and kill him again.
Yeah. That is something that is very easy to forget sometimes in all dungeons. That if you jump down to Ganon, he's just gonna laugh at you and say like, yeah, try again. Because you need every dungeon completed.
I think BigDunka is trying to find the lamp still.
Yeah. I don't blame them at all for that, because Mire is not a fun dungeon without any way. Like, even when you have the sword, Mire is probably one of the hardest dark rooms to do anyways. But without the sword, definitely amps up the difficulty a bit. But everything we've seen I'm pretty sure that lamp has to be in Meyer, actually.
Yeah, because we know it can't be in Swamp.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of any other place that it could be, so that's a little bit unfortunate. That guy is kind of avoiding Meyer a little bit.
How do you think he's going to feel when he finds that lamp sitting in Meyer?
He's probably gonna feel like, okay, you got me, Rando. This is not the first time you've done this to me.
Now, speaking of Meyer, Qirn is going to head in there right now. Has not been up to Super Bunny Cave yet, so doesn't have his mirror. Has not been to T-Rock, so doesn't have his Ice Rod or Flippers. So he doesn't have that many options, but he's at least going to go check Meyer's shed and check her, or Meyer's shed.
Yep.
And his health level is slowly crawling back up toward where Dunkus was, which is, you know, a nice little benefit. And so we'll get our first dips into Swamp and Meyer, respectively. We know that Meyer is almost certainly the lamp. We know that Swamp is maybe a bug net, but that's about it that could be there.
Yeah, Bugnet is not required, but definitely a nice pickup if they manage to get it.
Of course, soon we'll be headed to where everyone's favorite item is that we knew super early we would not be seeing. And they can finally pick up their boots if they happen before the big key.
Yeah. Who knows? The boots could even be in the ascent of Ganon's Tower.
Or they could be in the worst spot possible, the GT big chest.
Yeah, that's interesting. If you get the big key behind Ice Armors, do you think any of the runners would go to the big chest in order to maybe get those boots?
You know, it might be worth the time, not so much for the boots themselves, but for the level of practice a lot of people have with boots versus without for the gauntlet.
Yeah. The dashing in Ganon's Tower will be a little bit different. We haven't really talked much about it, but the boots are definitely nice to have in any mode, but they're a little bit less effective when you don't have a sword. You can't do the dash like the hammer dashes, for example, and you have to be pretty careful not to dash into enemies because they're not gonna take any damage whatsoever. Instead, you're gonna take the damage.
Very true. And also, Qirn did show off one little quirk of the hard mode changes in that he used Cane of Burna on the Meyer Spike Room and it worked out just fine. Reason being that in the event that you're playing Oko, those items are logically, or Burna or Cape is logically required for that chest. Hey, there's the lamp.
Well, looks like Qirn is not going to have to worry about the dark rooms here then.
Nice plus. But yeah, with the logical requirement for that, or say the Ice Palace Spike Room, pretty much anywhere where you need an invincibility item, Burna will act like normal in hard mode, just for the sake of making it work with Oko. Also just realized, I don't know if Dunka is so much looking for the lamp as he is looking for the bug net.
Yeah. Probably would not be sad to see either of them.
Yeah, it's kind of kind of like when you're playing normally, you got a Master Sword, no silvers, and you keep checking some chests in the way, hoping for that tempered or the silver arrows. You know, you might do the same thing for Bugnet, just because Aga 2 with Hammer is a nightmare.
Yeah, for sure. Especially in this mode, as we mentioned so many times before, with less safeties, the harder fights becomes even harder. We've seen Dunka do a lot of slideshow here with the menu against Argus. One of the more obnoxious fights without a sword, but did a really good job of making double pulls with the hook shot. And hey, it required, or not a required item, I mean a unique item from the boss.
A unique item indeed. That single arrow got its only worth in V30. Because now when you find it, you can at least say, well, when a hint tells me a unique item is here, it's probably going to be something useful.
Yeah.
So Dunka off for his 7th crystal. He's already got all 3 pendants. Wait, where? This isn't where the 7th crystal is.
Dunka still has one more crystal to get.
Okay, I'm curious where this is going. I'm just gonna try to figure this out while Qirn deals with the worst boss in Swordless, Vitreous.
Might be the hint tile that I never checked. No.
He's just going to do Spike Cave to see if there's anything to see if. Okay, yeah, the fact that he's going to do Spike Cave makes me think that he's looking for the lamp in particular.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Dunka did that earlier, but because it didn't. And then meanwhile, Qirn is doing one of the harder fights in Swordless, I would personally say at least. Using some bombs here to weaken the small eyeballs, and that with combination of some arrows is pretty good, but it's gonna save the arrows, which makes sense. Save them for the big Vitreous eye. Just use the hammer on the rest of them. Weakened, so you won't need as many hits. So have some magic potions, so that's good. That looked scary for a while.
So one nice trick for Vitreous on Swordless is that if you hug the right wall, the goo doesn't hurt you. So you can hold out your invisible sword or walk up along the right wall, and then just kind of move up and down right along the side there as the eyes come at you and use the hammer that way. It's a little bit easier because you don't have to worry about the lightning whatsoever. But Qirn takes Vitreous down very nicely without doing that.
Yeah, very well played fight. Just the last phase there, used taking out the bow and get 8 shots, 1 kill. Seems good.
Dunka, why? Why would you go to Catfish before looking at Meyer for this?
Yeah, this is definitely giving Qirn some time to catch up.
Yeah, Dunka's still got a pretty handy lead, but the more of these little one-off locations he skipped before that he goes back to looking for the lamp, the more time Qirn has to make this TR play that it looks like he's on his way to making. And then after TR, he's just got Swamp Palace to do, so he's not he's not out of it behind, he's behind.
Yeah, and Ganon's tower routing could definitely play a part as well.
I think that this is probably Dunka's last one-off location, though. Oh no!
Like Hobo.
Okay, Hobo. Yeah, that's a possibility.
Or
no. Oh, okay.
Oh, you're buying upgrades, but you cannot do that in hard mode. Oh, can you?
Yeah, they're just double price.
Oh, okay. Because Okay, that's news to me.
Yeah, I
I thought
actually
you were
learned
gonna
that earlier today myself. I didn't realize they were back in the pool, just more expensive in hard mode now.
Okay. So that's very interesting.
That's a nice choice, though. You're about to go fight Vitreous to go completely fill your arrows, get a couple of bonus ones. Makes it a little bit easier to get through the fight. I was very concerned that he was diving back into Ice Palace, though.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well, but luckily not. Qirn is gonna get the mirror pretty soon here, and without the flippers, it's probably gonna head into Turtrock. They don't have too many other options, I believe. So he's gonna be on the right path for go mode, and oh no, unfortunately push the block right over the chest that has the mirrors. It's gonna have to reset that.
Now, the hope here is that he doesn't get Mirror and go, hey, I can clear Swamp Palace, let's go there.
Probably not, because they don't have the flippers yet.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Although that would be one interesting fake flippers to see. Seeing as that is not a possibility.
I mean, you can get fake flippers in there, you just can't get up the ladder to move on in the dungeon once you do.
Yeah.
So Dunker coming through here is going to get his lamp, is going to be in 100% go mode.
Yeah. So one thing that's interesting with this tournament, having so many different options of game modes and difficulty settings and all of that kind of shenanigans that you can put on, is definitely gives people a chance to show flexibility and like what they're good at, like because every runner might not be playing all of the different kinds of modes and stuff like that. So it's probably something we're going to see a lot of people be practicing during these weeks to come. And oh no, Qirn gets the mushroom and then leaves. It's not going to Rock. Does have the mushroom nose, so can fake powder and then turn into mushroom. There's going to be one more climb up the mountain.
Yeah, I don't blame him whatsoever for leaving, because you don't have Ice Rod, you don't have Ice Rod, so do you really want to dive into T-Rock yet? But unfortunately, on our end, we know that if he had made that play, he would be within striking distance if he made a lucky call in GT or Dunka ran into any trouble at all.
Yeah. Oh, there's the bug net. That's something that Qirn skipped. They got the lamp and then they just went to the boss.
Yep, so one way or another, he's going to have hard mode Aga 2.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
It is, yeah. So at this point, there should be definitely nothing else for Dunka to search for except for the keys required, and possibly get the boots if that would be convenient to get in Gannis Tower.
Okay, this makes sense if Qirn put off T-Rock to go buy some potions first. Because you gotta do a Hammer Trinex, you get half magic from your potions, not full. So you have a little bit less safe breathing room on that fight than you do normally.
Yeah. One thing that is pretty nice is that you still get full magic from the full magic drops that appears on the pots and stuff like that. I do believe they switched so you can't get fairies or full magic drops from stun price anymore though, just to make it a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, those seeds were always silly when it's like, this is hard mode, but when I stun anything, it drops a fairy, and like half of the enemies drop full magic, so about that.
Oh, and it looks like Qirn was thinking they did have the flippers. Looked like they were about to head to Swamp Palace.
Now it looks like he's a little bit uncertain exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah, I might be going to check the tablet. Oh no, Mimic K. No, I mean K45. They just got the mirror, so that makes sense.
You're going to spend some time on these mirror locations that we unfortunately know don't hold anything.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, BigDunka is a couple rooms away from the final dungeon boss he has to kill. And then he just goes on to the very long journey of things to do before Ganon.
Yeah. A neat thing with buying the capacity upgrades, I didn't really notice how many arrows Dunka had, but when you buy a capacity upgrades, not only does the capacity increase, but you also get a full refill of whichever item you choose to buy.
Yeah, but it's
So
one of the things that makes them quite useful now they're back in their vanilla location. You buy them, you end up getting the full refill. So I've used it a couple times. I'm going up GT, I have no silvers. Let me just stop by Ice Palace, go fill up that way. Bombs before ice if you are going in there with low bombs. It's actually quite convenient to buy those occasionally.
So see Dunka going with the bomb strats as well here at the beginning of the fight, just to weaken the ice a little bit, and then probably switching over to the arrows afterwards.
Just buy all the bomb upgrades and then do bomb only Vidi for the dream.
Yeah.
Qirn now checking Checkerboard Cave. This is going to be another heart piece. Duncan decides he's low enough on arrows, he needs to step back and use the hammer. Takes an unfortunate hit and is low on health, so uses his blue potion.
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes sense that even though you only need 8 of them on Vitreous here, he's going to Ganon's Tower after this, and it can be nice to have a few arrows spared for that.
And you need at least 8 to get through the first 2 Mimic Rooms of GT. So, that's a thing. And with that, that's the 7th crystal, so time to head up to GT. I do believe there's a little bit of a game that people tend to like to play when we're heading up to GT here.
Yeah? What kind of game is that?
Well, there are 22 chests in the basement of Ganon's Tower, one of which has the big key, the other ones obviously do not. And the big key is really the main thing we're going to be looking for up there, so people want to go ahead and take a guess at where they think that big key will be.
So what do you think the big key is going to be today?
Now, see, normally I say 22 just for the meme of it. I'm going to say number 1 today just so that you have that terrible choice of I could keep going and get the boots, or I can leave right now.
That would be interesting, yeah.
What are you thinking?
I want to see behind ice armors, just to see if anyone goes for the big chest or not. So I guess 15, that's vanilla, right? Normally.
Yeah, it sounds about right for normal routing.
Yeah, at least if you don't get a small key in the first 2 chests.
Meanwhile, Qirn going through T-Rock, he will get both the items he needs for Go Mode in here. Unfortunately, at this point, it would take a pretty drastic mistake on Dunka's part for this to turn around.
Dunka still needs to do Aga 1, but even still, it's a pretty substantial lead that Dunka has right now.
Yeah, It'll be probably about 5 minutes for the Ega 2 play, which is about how long it'll take Qirn to get through T-Rock, most likely. But he's still got Swamp on top of that, and he'll have to do GT, which Dunka is already diving into.
So here we go. Into Ganon's tower we're head.
Hour and 55 minutes in, entering GT. From two very good runners, which is how you know that, no matter how good you are, hard mode, swordless, they can slow you down quite a bit.
Yeah.
That 10 arrow drop was nice, though. He doesn't have to worry about potentially despawning the arrows in Mimics 2 and getting stuck without any way to progress through the tower.
Yeah, pretty great if they have to go to ice armors as well.
Just use boomerang strats for ice armos. It's only 48 hits per armos.
That sounds like fun.
Oh, it's a blast. It's the most fun, 10-minute boss fight you'll ever see.
Yeah.
So we are coming up on numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6. 10 more arrows, which is pleasant. A compass, not quite so great. A heart piece. And $20.
So rip right side, which was the location for the big key in the first race between these two.
Now, will the big key be on the torch? No. The boots aren't required. They can be missed.
Yeah, I think they've been missed this entire run, actually.
You have a good point there. Qirn heading over to the big chest of T-Rock. He is not going to stop for Mimic Cave Heart Container. 7 a heart piece, 8 a small key.
Hey, there's the final shield. That's not going to be a shield when Qirn gets over there, because he already has the red shield at this point.
Then on top of that, worth noting that there are normal amounts of items placed in hard mode. I don't think we mentioned that earlier. They just change them after you find enough to the limit to something else.
Nice boomerang stress there to get the switches turned, and heading up here for the fire stink room.
This should be chest number 13 coming up.
Gotta go fast.
Hey, they put him on the way. That was nice of the game.
Would say so, yeah.
It's always nice when they put boots right in your way where you can't miss them. You just want to have boots for sure. Who cares if they're at the 2-hour mark in GT and full of sadness?
Yeah, sometimes even in the worst of seats, getting those boots, even if it's late, can just give you a second wind almost. And Qirn has now entered go mode as well. Missing the bug net, but I think they're okay with that at this point. At least they have the items to get to Ganon.
Dunka trying to sneak across that top area there and fell in the hole. And then... Oh, going to grab some arrows out of the spot? Yeah.
So we'll see a question in chat from Rywick about how close the first game was. It was really close. It came down to an Ice Palace play that Qirn did, pretty much, that turned out to be a little bit unfortunate. They went there without the hammer and had to double the bid, and that kind of made a difference in the end, as well as some GT routing.
That's chest number 18 with a blue rupee. Ice Arm was coming up for 19, 20, and 21. And then it could be the Tile Room Dream. Qirn is killing Trinex as we speak. Firehead down very nicely. Dunka gets the Ice Armors killed. Bombs. $5. Big key. Wah wah.
Ooh, yeah.
So if you guessed number 21, congratulations. It was barely not Tile Room, and you won. So now Dunka enters the gauntlet, going to be a bunch of rooms of just enemies to kill, to open up doors, at which point he can move onward to his final route up to Ganon, which includes everyone's favorite tower, Aghanim's Tower.
That was a very interesting mimic room from BigDunka, doing it without the silvers. Just doing one hit on each and then one hit on each again.
Yeah, that's one of those things there where if you're an NMG runner, you know how to handle that. If you're someone who plays rando mostly, it can throw you for quite a loop, how to do it quickly. So here's a hard mode change that's worth pointing out there. There's that room with the two fairies right below the staircase here that Dunka chose not to go to. Now, ordinarily you might say, well, maybe you should go grab a fairy and put it in a bottle. Well, the bug net can't catch fairies in hard mode. You can use fairies when they appear in front of you, but you can't catch them and have them be a I screwed up savior.
Yeah, two big holes in this bug net for sure.
Somehow it's small enough to catch a bee, but too big to catch a fairy. It's video game logic for you if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it would have Paradox K, why not have a Paradox bug net as well? BigDunka is running a little bit low here in health. Have to be a little bit careful.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a bunch of safety. He's just trying to hold off instead of using it to get to this anti-fairy up here. But he doesn't have powder, so no, he's just trying to not use any kind of healing at all.
Yeah.
A madman.
And unfortunately, even if they did have the powder, it doesn't really work the same way in hard mode. You only get one heart instead of a fairy.
Oh, that's true.
Dunka used the potion, only got half of the magic back, so is switching now to the hammer in order to have some magic left for the use of the cane and the lamp, or so for the torches coming up.
Hammer Lambo is not an easy or fun fight, by the way.
Yeah, BigDunka definitely making it look easier than probably is for a lot of people.
Now, one of the quirks of not having a sword, having to pause in that room and be like, how do I get around these guys?
Yeah, the quick kill in this room, for example, we saw Dunka heading towards the last Wizrow, but then just in last moments turning away, realizing, wait, don't have a sword. Let's not try that.
At least managed to sneak through those guards there, and at this point it should be pretty straightforward. There's not much that not having a sword is different at this point in the gauntlet.
Yeah, I'd say the only difference, I guess, would be Moldorm, but sometimes even if you have Master Sword, you might go for the hammer strats anyways.
So we are at the top of GT. BigDunka needs to kill one of these mini Helmosaurs to get a key, so that he can then move onwards. And we...
There. Oh, that would have been a very convenient hard refill, but unfortunately not.
It would have been that little bit of accidental pot throwing angle. Really, really hurt. Qirn on menu boss while Dunka deals with our friend Trolldorm. Rewarded with the map in the final chest of the game before he heads up to Aghanim 2. He does have more safety, so he's not going to have to be super concerned about the lack of health.
Yeah, and here's where the bug net is going to play a fairly big role. Definitely a bigger role than it gets to shine in most games. But even still, having bug net is not the easiest fight here. Getting a very nice double to begin with, though.
Yeah, some people like to use net dashes in Swordless. It makes it a little bit easier to hit with the dash for one reason or another. But started out strong and then showing off how this can be a little bit of a nightmare if things don't line up perfect.
Getting some blue balls there as well, but there's another hit, so that's good. Going for the single hit can sometimes be the best option here. Just guaranteed to get one hit and not take too much damage. Aga is quite rude right now. He's throwing those blue balls around.
Qirn destroys that Samaria block he accidentally put in place. Still needs a couple more hits. Okay, that should be 4, 5, 6.
Nice.
There he goes.
So we're gonna see the double Aga play here, because Aga 2 is dead, but turns out Aga 1 is still lurking around in the castle tower, so we're gonna have to take care of that before Ganon.
So as a note, Dunka entered GT about 1:55, if I recall. That was before the number 21 big key. If Qirn gets that quicker, he's already looking at about 13 to 14 minutes behind entering GT. Now, Aghanim's Tower was going to give him about 5 to 6 of that back, but he still needs Dunka to make a pretty big mistake to get the time he needs back.
Yeah, one of the things that could play a role, I guess, in is the Ganon fight. It's a little bit different than normally, because you might be wondering, wait, we don't have a sword, we don't have the Master Sword or anything higher for Ganon. Well, just as the hammer does with a couple of other things in this mode, you can use the hammer to hurt Ganon instead. So that's what you're gonna do in the first 3 phases. Hit them with the hammer with the same damage as the tempered would do, and then the last phase just do the same way, but use the silvers as well. But that's it's a little bit rougher or harder than it may sound like, unless it sounds pretty hard, because that's kind of what it is sometimes.
I'm not gonna lie though, I feel like I would prefer Hammer Ganon over Master Sword Ganon any day, because at least you don't have to spin.
I tend to be in the same camp, but I guess it all depends on how used to the hammer fight you are. Because you have to get pretty close to Ganon to get those hits in. So especially phase 2 can be pretty rough.
Dunka is playing with fire, both by way of the fire rod, which was an unintentional pun I realized mid-sentence, but mostly by the single heart he is climbing this tower with. I think a lot of things could kill him in one hit. or to 1 to 2 hits at most.
Yep, getting one safety heart there. So luckily, we know there's not too many blue balls on this upcoming Ganon or Aga fight, and with the Bugnet, it becomes even less of an risk to take damage, but it's still pretty daring to go in there with 2 hearts.
And Aghanim sending Zelda to the Turtle Rock crystal that's in Link's pocket somewhere. I mean, it doesn't seem like a very effective strategy if you're trying to win this, war, but sure.
It's just Aga was not prepared for the Galaxy Brain of BigDunka. He's actually deciding to go with the Hammer strat here. Hammer is definitely less complicated when you only deal with 1 Aga instead of 3 of them. And this shield is actually putting in some use here, stopping that blue ball from hurting Dunka twice here.
I believe he should have a total of 3 if he gets a hit everywhere. It should be the first hit of the 3rd cycle should end it. He's definitely having a very clean hammer fight, though.
Yeah, the timing is right on point here.
Qirn has just passed Rando Room. He is going to be heading to Bob's chest and Ice Armor soon. We'll get his big key. But BigDunka has Aghanim 1 down. Will be headed to Ganon with full magic, full health, and a dream.
Yeah, that was a very impressive Aga fight. About as flawless as it could possibly be. Looks like Duncan maybe go to get some potions here. We know that he has the time to do so without worrying too much, but it's not something that Dunka is aware of. This is definitely the point where you're starting to really get nervous, like, oh, where's my opponent right now?
Yeah, it's also a little bit the point where you sit there and go, you know what, I've got to the end here. If I take a death and it's close, it's worse than the time I'll lose going to get potions, so I'm just going to play it safe.
Yeah, makes sense. Always good to play to your outs, like you know your execution, know what you're capable of. If you feel like a potion would be needed, it's better than to take a death or 2.
And Qirn is about to pick up his big key as Dunka falls into Ganon. That was very well timed.
Yeah. About a gauntlet behind at this point.
Oh, that's a new Ganon phrase. Holding a parade with all his minions to show his might.
Lucky getting some nice hits in here. Is now into phase 2. Here we see the fight becomes a little bit more complicated. It's quite hard to get into a good position to hurt Ganon. Sometimes this is a golden opportunity, though.
Yeah, he needs to get up to that corner ASAP.
Yeah, using a potion so they can just damage boost them way through. Oh, that was unfortunate.
That was very unfortunate.
Yeah. Trying to avoid using another potion straight away, but still has that potion now instead for the next fight, I guess.
Yeah, phase 2 is really the difficult part of Ganon with the hammer. Phase 1 is pretty much the same as Tempered, you just can't get the 1-in-1 cycle type of start. But phase 2, the hammer hitbox is very small, and those fireballs hitboxes are not that small.
Yeah.
He's got a few hits in on phase 2 so far, but his health is getting very low. He's got another potion, but...
Yeah. Yeah, he was definitely considering maybe not using it, because there's still quite a bit of the fight left to go, but... oh no, another death.
Ugh.
This is definitely what Qirn needs right now, but Dunka definitely still has the advantage without a doubt here. But he's gonna go grab some more potions. Has enough money for 2 more blue potions. They're not using any magic in the first 2 phases here, so maybe go for red potions. Could be a strategy here.
He's actually a rupee short of 2 blue potions.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Now he's doing a save and quit. I'm guessing if he dies, he's just going to do a hard reset to keep the potions after the death.
Yeah, that would be pretty convenient, seeing as after you kill Aga 2, you save and quit in the or not save and quit. Never mind. I was about to say something stupid.
Aghanim being dead makes getting back to Ganon here very nice, but still not as nice as Inverted, where if you save and quit to the pyramid, you're literally directly next to GT and the Ganon hole. It's just right there.
Yeah.
Here we go, Dunka versus Ganon, round 3. Qirn on land mode 2 has made up a lot of ground in this time.
Yeah, this is becoming closer and closer.
Phase 1 should be done for Dunka into phase 2. That is 3 hits, and he's backing off. He's going to play it a little bit safer this time. Not rush in for the hits, just take it easy.
That makes sense. With blue mail and 11 hearts, you can't really afford to damage boost yourself too much.
That is 6 hits. He's gotten 3 per cycle of phase 2 so far. He needs 6 more. Qirn is through torches 2, or torches 1. There's another 3 hits for Dunka. A 4th hit, he needs 2 more for phase 2. And he has to deal with 1 last cycle. But he gets his last hit. Qirn had a little bit of trouble hitting that last torch off the ledge.
So it's now past phase 2, which is without a doubt the most difficult one, and does have a blue potion left as well. So it's a pretty golden opportunity here to close this game for good.
Yeah, this should about wrap things up. He is going to have a different warp cycle than Qirn due to the deaths if Qirn gets there on the first fight. But either way, once he gets to phase 4, it's pretty much just the same as Tempered Ganon. Okay, he remembered to switch to silver.
Yeah.
That's an important part.
That's a nice double there. So only 1 more hit. Ooh, okay, that was scary.
Trolldorm 2 down on Qirn's side. He's crossing the gap toward Aghanim 2.
This should about do it. Ganon is down. All Duncan needs to do is to cross the finish line.
As long as the bridge spawns before he walks up, he is good to go with another win.
Yeah, and there we go. BigDunka is finished first with a time of 2 hours, 19 minutes, and 23 seconds. So big GGs. Everyone spam your GGs for BigDunka taking 2 wins here tonight against Qirn. And we're actually joined now by BigDunka. Big GGs.
Many thanks.
Yeah, so where to even begin with everything that happened tonight?
Is it obvious that I've done exactly one swordless seed before this one, and that was earlier today?
Not really.
Yeah, that was... I avoided it like the plague.
Yeah, the Ganon fight was a little bit shaky, but Ganon with swordless is not easy to begin with. Everything else went pretty well for you, it seemed.
Yeah, I was so anxious. My nerves were in overdrive at that point, and I was going way too fast, and I just needed to pull back and take a breath. I don't know. There's a couple of things that went on there. I made a couple of interesting decisions. I think that's what happens when you do 2 races, all dungeons, in a 5-hour span. The the initial bailing on Desert Palace for no reason at the beginning was interesting. I realized it after I quit. After I did the save quit, that I realized what I did, and then I was like, I guess we'll go back later.
Yeah, one of your big advantages over Qirn came from he put off Eastern Palace until there was literally no other option. So he got the glove from Pod before finding the one in Eastern, and he was everywhere.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that bow, I was like, oh my god, this is a huge advantage.
Yeah, it was kind of needed to go in there anyways to get the glove, but Qirn decided to go for the gamble of the lamp being in Eastern instead, and actually did Aga for Dark World and got their first glove from Pod instead.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Which was a little bit unfortunate, but was a very interesting play to see.
Yeah, I actually it came to a realization close to the end there that I wasn't worried about doing Mire in the Dark. I should have just gone into Mire and just done Mire in the Dark. But I have never done Aga in the Dark without a sword for a guide.
Yeah.
And that's why I was digging, because I knew the lantern had to only be in 1 of 3 spots, and that's why I went for, what was it, Catfish and Spike Cave before I went into Mire. Because I figured, if I'm going to do it anyway, obviously it'll help in Mire. But
yeah.
I actually forgot while you were looking for that lamp that Aga dark rooms were a thing.
Yeah, that actually didn't click for any of us. We were just thinking about Mire, but of course, Aga is it's not really something you practice doing Aga in the dark without a sword.
Yeah, I've never even bothered with it. I know that you can get through half of those with torches, but the one with all the holes, the one with the one right before the key, that one I think I know where the torch is at, but I'd be sitting there blindly shooting. So I was just like, you know what? I'll take the minute or 2 to search these, and it helped in the end, obviously. But again, by then the nerves are already kicking.
Yeah, and GG's to Qirn, finishing up as well with an hour time of 2 hours, 23 minutes, and 16 seconds. Turned out to be a pretty close race at the end here. A little bit of twists and turns every here and then. So we're probably gonna get joined by Qirn pretty soon as well. But everyone spam your GGs for Qirn as well.
Yeah, it looks like he's in the waiting room, so he should be popping in here as well soon. And speak of the devil, here is Qirn. Welcome. GG.
Hey, thanks.
GG.
Yeah, GG's.
Yeah, GG Dunka.
That took forever, man.
Yeah, that was a marathon, my god.
Yeah.
So I want to jump in and real quick give you a shout out for that Ganon fight there, Qirn. We were talking to Dunka at the time, but that was beautiful.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I feel pretty good about my boss fights and most of my execution, but my routing not so much. my brain just kind of turned to mush doing 2 all dungeon seeds back to back.
So how about that Eastern Palace?
Oh my god. I I was like certain that it was Lamp in Eastern Palace. So when I found it, I was like, well, let's just hope that my opponent does the exact same thing or like dies a bunch or something. That was pretty bad.
I got the bow.
Oh right, because the bow was in Eastern as well. Yeah.
And it helped a ton, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Yeah,
Although I
had to
didn't get the lamp until the very, very end. I didn't want to do Ag in the Dark.
Yeah, I felt like my early game routing was centered around avoiding Eastern, so I felt like I kind of had to go to Aga in order to not bet against myself by backing out and going to Eastern. But I think, I don't know, I tend to avoid Eastern a bit too much. It is a Sphere 1 location.
Do you know what the second item in Meyer happened to be?
No, what was it?
It was the bug net.
Oh my god. Oh man. Rip that Aga 2 fight, Jesus.
I'd say you did a pretty good Aga 2 fight with the hammer. It's not an easy one at all.
Yeah, I'm lucky that I had a final I got that extra blue potion in Ganon's tower.
So jumping back a little bit about the first seed you did.
Oh right, yeah, that's right.
That one had it was definitely an interesting seed. There was a couple of good highlights. One of the obvious ones being that hammer location and the entire sequence you had to do even to get to that point.
Oh my god.
That was such a breadcrumb seed. It was ridiculous.
It was like somebody scripted it or something.
So what turned out to be like the biggest decision maker in the first one, I'd say, was so Qirn, you did the fake flippers into Ice Palace without the hammer, which turned out that you had to double dip it, and then your both of your routing in Ganon's tower was a little bit different. Dunka went right side and got the big key fairly early. Otherwise, I think both of you did basically the same things in the first one.
I don't think you could have done that much different.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's definitely
very linear. Yeah. So I actually was wondering about that when I picked up the bow, because I was like, oh great, now I can use the bow against Vidi. I can't remember the sequence of things. Wasn't Vidi forced as a part of the sequence unless you, wasn't it forced without the... So did you do Vidi without the bow, Dunka?
Or wait, no, actually it wasn't. Because you only
I'm trying to remember
powder from Betrayals.
I think I used... No, I know. I think I used the bow. Yeah, I had to have used the bow. I'm pretty sure I had the bow then. I think Meyer was go mode at that point. I think I had... Because I went into go mode out of... Again, I'm hoping I don't get mine crossed. But yeah, because the bow and the fire rod were both in ice, correct?
I believe you had the bow on the second seed, but not in the first one on Vitrias, if I remember correctly.
Okay. I honestly, I don't remember.
Yeah.
That was like 3 days ago.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure because I mean I knew that diving early was a weird choice, but when I got the bow, I was like, oh well, maybe I just made up time here by not having to do a hammer Vidi.
Yeah, I thought I had the bow then. I thought I did, but I'd have to go back. I honestly don't remember. I remember ice, kind of put into go mode, but I can't remember what I hadn't finished.
Okay, this is something I have to ask about. Is also from the first seed. How about that Aga fight? That was ridiculous.
Oh my god, 9 blue balls, I think.
Oh my god, yeah.
It was
right.
like 8 in a row or something.
Yep, first 8.
Yeah.
It was 8 for 8.
I was getting
crazy.
excited about 15.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that also, almost just to see it, not for your sakes.
Yeah. It's like a statistical anomaly.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Yeah, I knew this was going to be a tough race against you, Dunka, because I don't know if you remember, but like back in the Keysanity tournament, it would be like 3 or 4 times a week in the evening we'd be doing practice races. And I think you beat me the majority of the time back then, but it always felt really close between the two of us, so I knew this was going to be a good.
That was another lifetime ago. Oh man, I remember that because it was every night we did at least 1 or 2.
Yeah.
No, I figured it'd be close. I did look, and I obviously I checked the last results, and it was we out of the last like 5 or 6, they were all pretty close. We exchanged a few of them, so I kind of figured this is the one that was scaring me, just because. And I don't know if you knew this. This is the second ever swordless seed that I've ever done, and the first one was like 12 hours ago.
I actually I have to admit I feel kind of bad about this, but I did peek around on your SRL to see if there was any gaps in anything. So,
dude, I would have done the same thing.
So sorry about that, but that wasn't even enough. Even with apparently a couple Ganon deaths, it wasn't enough to make up for my bad routing. So GG.
Yeah, good games, guys.
It's a very interesting concept when you get to pick the modes like this.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, we get a third.
That's right.
Now the random bot can roll these, let me know. Hard, swordless, inverted, all dungeons instead of regular, and it'll be even more fun.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll get that one scheduled sometime. Right now, I think it's time for bed.
Yeah, makes sense. It's fairly late. But
thanks everyone.
Yeah, thank you, both of you, putting up an awesome 2 races here.
All right, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks.
So, Qirn, do you have any other thoughts about the seeds you played? Anything that stuck out, or about the tournament in general?
Well, this one final thought about the seed was, God, when I was up in Hookshot Cave, I was like, oh great, I'm gonna skip this. I know I got the mirror, I'm gonna go do Swamp. For some reason I thought I had the flippers. So I wasted a bunch of time there, but my thought process was that Turtle Rock was a pendant, so I could do Swamp first, and if I don't find the Ice Rod... Okay, this is a little nerdy, but bear with me here. If I don't find the Ice Rod, I'll go to Turtle Rock, and then look for the Ice Rod there. If I get the Ice Rod there, then I get to Goal Mode Ganon's Tower, which is huge. If I don't, then I can leave a mirror portal there, and then I can use a Chris Houlihan glitch into the Ganon pit in order to return to the light world without losing my mirror spot on Laser Bridge. So I was a little too caught up in the nerdy, like, crazy sequence of that I totally just didn't even realize I didn't have flippers.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw you were about to head over there and then just fell into the water on the way over there.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. But no, I'm very excited about the rest of this tournament. I love that there's all these people playing all these different game modes, and like you see in the race planning channel, like just, normally tournament time, it's like everybody's doing whatever the mode is, but it's really cool to see like all these variations everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. People get to show all kinds of crazy different skills in different modes, and it's a pretty nice variation for in terms of entertainment value as well, I think.
Yeah, I hope so.
Mentos Man, do you have any more questions you want to shoot for?
Not really. I think we covered most of the stuff. It was a relatively interesting seed. Some options that went kind of weird depending on what you took, but I think both of them handled that quite well. So
yeah, thanks. Those are good ones. I don't know why I decided to do an all dungeons back to back, because it was my pick. Like right after Dunka picked all dungeons, I have regrets.
Yeah, all dungeons seems to be one of the most popular goals, without a doubt. To be honest, there's been a lot of so far.
I mean, it kind of makes sense to me because it's a lot less volatile than open mode, so it doesn't come down to some gamble usually. And actually, either of these seeds, if either of these seeds had been an open seed, it would have been just so nasty because there was so much in pendant dungeons.
Yeah, that's very true. Is that Touch Rock, for example?
Yeah, exactly.
So tomorrow we have a ton of different races going on. Multiple of them are going to be restreamed. Starting off at like 11:30 a.m. we have 2 races, one on Speed Gaming 3, one on Link to Past Randomizer. Both of them being all dungeons. Speaking of, one of them is Swordless Hard and with Key Sanity, and the other one is Randomizer. So both of them seem really interesting. One of which is actually Mr. Mentos Man himself playing. And then we have like all through the day races going on Speed Gaming 1, 4, 3, 5, and basically all of them. So if you haven't followed all of these Speed Gaming channels, I would definitely recommend it if you want to see more Link to Past Randomizer, because there's going to be a ton of it going on, not only tomorrow, but for multiple weeks coming up.
in addition to those ones that have scheduled restreams so far, there's always the possibility of more restreams getting added on the ALTTP randomizer channels 1 through 4. So if you are really looking for more rando, throw those on a follow as well, and they'll cover some of the parts of the tournament that we just do not have room on Speed Gaming for.
Yeah. And also want to give a big shout out. There was so much crazy things happening during this race, so we never really got to do it during the race. But a big thanks to our tracker today, Arborelia, and of course a big thanks to both our runners. 2 really very interested runs to watch, and big thank you to you as well, Mattispan.
Right back at you. It's always a pleasure to work with you. And yeah, that was a very fun race to cover. I had a little bit of a holdup before the race that led to me not having much time to prepare, and you kind of helped carry me through the early part until I got settled in. So I appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, every time, man. And I want to wish you best of lucks in the rest of your matches, Qirn. Hopefully you can bounce back and get some punches back. Get some wins as well.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm having fun anyway, so.
Yeah, that's the most.
But yeah, I want to win. That
right. So with that, I think we're done for tonight. But yeah, 11:30 is where we start off tomorrow, and then just the entire day is packed with so much randomizer. So until then, we'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everyone.
Later.
Nate.